Assalamu alaikum everyone. So in this week's project class, we learned about different types of habitats, the deserts, woodland, and polar habitats. So we recalled what the ocean's habitat are and what we remember about them, what plants and animals live there. Then we talked about the habitats that will be covered today, the rainforests, the forests, the Arctic, and the desert, and oceans we covered last week. So then we talked about that how plants and animals rely on their environment for everything that they need. This means that they have to live somewhere that has the right conditions for them to stay alive and well. Because different places around the world have different conditions, animals and plants in those places are different as well. So these different animals and plants have special ways to survive in special habitats. So let's start with this week's habitat. The first one is the polar habitat. So polar habitats are located at the very top and the very bottom of the earth. The northern polar regions are called the Arctic, while the southern regions are called the Antarctica. So the animals who live in polar regions have adapted by having thick fur or feathers, and they hunt fish and rely on each other, for food or plants around them. So the Arctic Circle is very, very cold, and it's cold pretty much all year round. The only plants that can grow in the Arctic regions are grasses and mosses. So trees are unable to grow because the ground stays frozen all year round. And in some places, the Arctic is too cold for anything to grow at all. So some of the animals that live there, we find polar bears, Arctic foxes, Arctic hares, and even seals that live there. So these are some of the examples of the animals that we might find there, like penguins and polar bears and killer whales and seals, wolves, snowy owls, walrus, etc. So to learn a little bit more in detail about the Arctic, we've watched this video which is uploaded in Google Classroom for all of you to follow in case you missed the class. So then comes the desert. So deserts are places that do not get much rain. They are very, very dry, and they can be either very hot or very cold. So the largest cold desert in the world, the Arctic deserts, is called the Gobi Desert. In China, while the Sahara is the hottest desert and the largest in the world. Because there is such little water in the deserts, not many living things can survive here. Animals and plants that live here are used to the harsh and dry environments. Many desert plants have leaves that collect and store water. Since water is so scarce, most desert animals get their water from eating these plants or from the blood and body tissues of their prey. So some animals like kangaroos and lizards live in burrows which do not get too hot or cold and have damp air inside. These animals stay in their burrows during the hot days and come out only at night for food. While camels, on the other hand, can drink a large amount of water and survive 2 weeks without drinking any water at all. So then we watch this video to understand that how do the animals and plants survive in the deserts. This is available on the Google Classroom as well. And then we saw a few desert animals. So we find lizards and snakes and camels and this fox and tarantula, snake, meerkat, camel, vultures, lizard, and scorpions, among other things. So now let's learn about forests. So forests or woodlands. So forests and woodlands are places where there are mostly trees. There are many different kinds of forests in different climates, but trees are the one thing that they all have in common. Woodlands are a little more open than forests, as they have more space and the lights are able to, come from in between the trees, while forests have so many trees that it's actually pretty dark when you walk around. So since we use trees to make paper, we need to be careful about what that does to the forest habitat. One way to care for the forest is to recycle paper. So we saw a 360 version of the desert biome and the forest biome, which was available only in class. So some of the animals that we find here are trigons, a python, an anteater, butterfly, sloth, ants, panda. So you can look at this whole, all of the animals that might find in jungle or even a rainforest. So these are a lot. And you can also think that some other animals, name of some other animals that are not in the picture but might be found in jungle. So then we had a tiny virtual tour of the forests. So what's a tropical forest and what's a temperate forest? So a tropical forest is packed with life, whether it's up above you in a canopy or hiding behind a leaf, marching alongside your feet like ants. So though you won't be able to feel the humid air surrounding you, we had a virtual tour of the Panamas, which kind of helped us see what forests are like. And while the temperate forests are known for the chilly warm summer, for the warm summers and chilly autumns and freezing winters. So your home task, since we are done with all 5 of our habitats, your home task is to make a video explaining which animal is your favorite, which habitat it belongs to, and then you have to give 2 reasons explaining why it's your favorite. You have to share the picture that you've drawn. For the last week task, you had a written task of your favorite animal. So this week you have to make a video and you have to explain why it's your favorite. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you in the next class, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.